All right, welcome to the Apply What You Know about bacterial cell morphologies and arrangements. So this slide is having you apply the terminology that we just reviewed in the previous video and practicing using those terms. But it's also getting you familiar with what you're going to see in lab when you look at cells under the microscope. So I'm asking how you would describe the morphology and arrangement of these cells. So for morphology, you're always going to want to try to find a single cell to look at to really get its shape. And so sometimes that can be kind of hard. So I'm going to look right over there. And that cell is pretty circular, right? And so what is the micro term for a round or circular cell? Coccus. Okay. And then we're going to look at the arrangement. And when you're looking at the arrangement, you want to see what is happening most frequently. Okay. Just due to poor staining technique or smear prep, sometimes you're going to see a random single cell by itself. Sometimes they might be in a random pair. But when we look at this collectively, we agree that we're seeing, right, lots of these clusters, right? There's just really clusters everywhere. Okay, everything. So what is our micro term for cluster? That would be staphylo. And so remember, when we're addressing the morphology and arrangement of cells, we write it as one word with the arrangement first and then the morphology. So we would say these are staphylococci. And again, remember, I'm not picky on staphylococcus versus staphylococci. All right, so then for this next one, for the morphology, again, we want to look at just a single cell. So I think here's a good one. Does that look like a real good circle to you? Nope. So that means our morphology is going to be bacillus. And then we want to look at what are these cells doing? How are they arranging themselves? And honestly, I see a lot of them by themselves, right? He's by himself, he's by himself, he's by himself. Okay, and I could go on and on, right? And so the most common arrangement is single. And so this is the only time you don't write it as one word, okay? But the arrangement is still addressed first, and then the morphology is addressed second. Okay, so this time it's two separate terms. Now, you might say, but Chelsea, I see these guys hanging out as a pair. Why isn't that Diplobacillus? And that's for two things. One, because that's just a fluke. Okay, again, you want to go by what is happening most frequently. But also remember that our bacillus cells, they don't divide in such a way that they can stack like that. Okay, that does not happen. Based on how bacillus cells divide, they can only arrange themselves end to end. Okay, so anytime you see what look like cells like this that look like they're kind of stacked, you know that's just a staining or smear prep error. All right, y'all. That is it for this video. Please let me know if you have any questions.